Hey everybody, it's Durger time. Thank you for joining me once again for another episode of Ring of Honor Resurrected. We had a fantastic first episode. We're really happy with how that show kind of came together and coalesced. We had 343 fans, and the feedback was excellent. And I agree. I think as pretty much the best we could have done with what we had. So I was very happy with how that show came apart, with the exception, obviously, of Minoru Suzuki's injury, which thankfully it looks like he's going to be working through. That said, we can keep him safe for a while. He is our TV champion, but we don't necessarily have to put him on a show for a while. We can keep him, safe and protected so it doesn't get worse. That said, he'll work through it without an issue. So we had a pretty good show. Financially, we didn't really make any money because we didn't have any ticket sales. Our broadcast was fine. I'm really curious to see at the end of the month what our sponsorships look like. And for how the sponsorships work, they kind of dole out week to week. For this size, I'm expecting probably about $90,000 to maybe $120,000 in sponsorship money. That's just various sponsors. Bigger company gets bigger cut of the sponsorships. We do have some merchandise sales that we're getting through, but we are spending a lot of money now. Some of this cost was upgrade cost, right? But we are spending $25,000 per month for running costs. In addition, we're paying $17,000 a show. So, we need a little bit more cash. We don't have to worry about it so much because AEW is our parent company, but we also don't want to be such a financial sink to decide to get rid of us. So what I've done is I went ahead and put our ticket sales to very cheap instead of nothing for TV. Very cheap should give us some money. We're looking at TV show tickets. Our popularity, I want to say, is around 35, 29. So like $10 a person. We're going to get extra like $300. Not going to be a lot. If it was normal, we would get, let's see. Let's go into there and take a look. Actually, that doesn't seem right. It seems like basically the same. You know what we'll do? I'm curious. I'm going to do cheap, and I'm going to see how many people we get with that. Oh, here it is. Normal, cheap. There we go. So cheap, we would make about $10 a person. Very cheap, we'd make about $7 a person. And free, we'd make it $0 a person, right? Premium would be about $15, but we're not there. So the cheap is going to draw more fans, but get less revenue. So very cheap, obviously, is going to bring a lot of people in, but significantly less. Let's stick with cheap. We were at 0. We were at free when we got about 360 fans. What we don't want is we don't want a show where we're going to get like under 100, right? Because we'd rather have the eyeballs and the fan attendance over a little bit of cash. And, getting 100 people and getting them, $3 a pop or whatever is not really going to be something that's dramatic in terms of our financials. But having 300 people for like no money or very little money, but there's a lot more people there, is going to be a lot more impactful, I think. We'll also have to see what our event does in terms of revenue. We're on a big, subscription service. We're on HBO Max. So they're a medium view. They're on demand. So we're going to be, and we're only getting 30% revenue. So, we'll have to see in terms of what we get out of that. their viewerships, their attendance. We'll really have to see. But the eyeballs there are pretty big. They're not available everywhere because HBO has specific viewerships. But we do have still our Honor Club, which we can show. And then we also have Fight for international. So we have some international ability with Fight. HBO is going to be domestic, Canadian, and European, right? So that's going to give us some eyes on us and hopefully some good revenue, because we want to make sure that we're bringing in a little bit of money. The other reason why we want to bring in a little bit of money is because at the end of the month, that money gets absorbed into AEW, and we go back to zero. That's unfortunate if we want to do things like alliance loans, because we need to have some capital available. Not a lot, but some, for our admin fees. So we want to have at least a little bit in the coffers. Now, I added a little bit because I did want to add one person for a show tonight. No, it's not CM Punk, though we might do that in the future. I think Punk and Bryan are going to be great candidates to show up on a Ring of Honor episode, and I think we have plans to do that. I have ways to bring them in for the long term to help boost the show. But for now, for the first couple episodes at least, I don't think that's in the cards. We have these other stories going on, a lot of other stories. We have a lot of other talent I want to use. We have 45 people currently. We don't know if AEW is going to bring us more people. They could. In some saves they do, in some saves they don't. So in the sims that I've done, it's really a crapshoot. But if they do bring us some developmental talent, we're going to really want to utilize them. And obviously, we also have this tournament where Dalton Castle beat Joe Hendry. A lot of people pointed out that I totally forgot about a pre-show match that happened at Supercard of Honor, and you're right. It's weird because I haven't watched a lot of Ring of Honor lately. I kind of talked about it in the previous episode where I watched a lot during the Cody era, during the Ring of Honor era, during the Elite era, and enjoyed it a lot. It reminded me a lot of NXT. Then I started to watch New Japan a lot more, kind of stopped watching Ring of Honor as much, then stopped watching Ring of Honor completely, moved to AEW, kind of following a lot of the fans probably in terms of movement between companies. But I watched I watched a couple pay-per-views this year out of curiosity and enjoyed all of them. And enjoyed the last pay-per-view they did, Final Battle in December, was really good, and I forgot what happened on it. I forgot about the hit from Joe Hendry with the belt. Totally slipped my mind. I also forgot about Supercard of Honor's pre-show with Dalton Castle. So we're kind of starting our storyline there as though I guess those didn't happen, because I've totally forgotten about that. So we have that sort of division happening with Joe Hendry and Dalton Castle. But we have these other matchups that we have to do for our Top Prospects tournament. Winner of it, of course, as we said, gets a title shot of their choice. So they could pick the world, the tag, not the women's, obviously, the TV or the pure. All of those are up for challenge, except for Wheeler Yuta. If he wins the tournament, obviously he is going to have to pick one of the others, and he could potentially become a dual champion if he's still pure champion, because we don't really have control of that, because it is one of our 3 alliance titles. He is still pure champion, but that's not under our control. It's under alliance control. So AEW, New Japan, anybody that's part of it, Impact, could crown somebody else, and we don't have that creative control, as they did with the 6-man tag team of bringing Adam Cole, Matt Jackson, and Nick Jackson, which means that we can now actually use Adam Cole pretty much whenever we want for as long as he's champion, which is a great benefit and the reason why we put these in here. Someone had mentioned that we should invite AAA, And yeah, I noticed that, and I thought it was kind of weird. After I didn't think about it until after setting it up. I was so focused on setting up Ring of Honor that I realized that in the Forbidden Door, in the save, AAA is not here. I did try to invite them, and they rejected. So they have no interest in joining, unfortunately. And I don't think there's a way to add them in after the fact, unfortunately. And I would have to redo the save, and it's just that's too way too much work. So much extra work. Yeah, I think you can change elements of the Forbidden Door and the Alliance here, but you cannot add people to it. So unfortunately, they are not going to be a part of it. I don't think we could even add Alliance titles. Well, maybe. I don't. Yeah, you can't. There's a lot less that you can do than in the database. Because it would be kind of cool to make the AAA tag titles an Alliance title as well, because they're kind of being treated as such, but not something that we can do. Okay, we got 6 days of Sim. Let's go ahead. Let's go forward, and let's put on another great show. Hopefully, it'll be as good as the last one. Oh boy. Well. Ask and you shall receive. We just got a huge influx of people from AEW. Let's see what the hell just happened. Oh my god. There's a lot of people. Okay. Let's work our way back from the beginning here. We had a good viewing. 400,000 people on HBO watched the show. That's so good. That's real life Rampage numbers. That's fantastic. GCW production change. All right. So AEW has hired for us Camille, Leo Rush. That's interesting. Flip Gordon, Grizz Selmani. I have to look at Leon Ruff. Jimmy Lloyd, Conan Claxton, Brandon Watts, Bobby Flaco, Flip Gordon again. I don't know why it's doubled up on there. So quite a few new faces here that were signed up. Some known faces. Flip Gordon makes a lot of sense to bring us in. Conan Claxton sounds really familiar, and I'm trying to think why. Exclusively North America, so was in the CZW Academy. 8 years of experience, so I probably have seen them around before. One of the fun things about this save is that I'm going to try. Now, granted, I'm not super focused on necessarily knowing every wrestler out there, because we're really going to be trying to build people up uniquely here. They're going to have their own stories. They're going to have their own personalities. They're going to develop things differently, and that's fine. But I do like to make a baseline of understanding those people and what their skill sets are, maybe what some of their characters are on the indies, or what they're developing, what they're thinking of, and how to apply that here. So generally, what's kind of fun about this is that I'm going to have people that I never would pick up on my own because I just don't know them, and I'm not necessarily just looking for a skill set, and AEW is going to throw them at us, right? So that's kind of cool that I'm going to now have to do a little homework and kind of figure out who these people are. So Blackheart, Leo Rush, we got here. It's interesting that that's his gimmick here, is the Blackheart, Leo Rush. We might switch that out. That's weird that that's his only gimmick. We're going to go back to Leo Rush, I think. Or maybe switching it up to that. We could definitely do some stuff with Leo Rush. I think in the real world that wouldn't have happened, but I'm fine with that. Bobby Flaco, who is pretty new, 4 years. Looks like he's got a great technical ability potential, a lot of high aerial. I think we have some potential here. I'm not going to put them in these none of these guys are going to go in these episodes, maybe in a pre-show, but I kind of want to see who they are and what we can build them into. But very interesting. Brandon Watts here, who, again, I'm not familiar with at all. Apparently he currently this might be an organic one. He currently works for Ring of Honor. I don't think he does in real life. If he does, that's interesting that they brought him back in here and to save. But I'm not familiar with him at all. Looks like decent flashiness, average skill set all around, great charisma though. So it's always an option that as we develop them, maybe a better manager for somebody else is always an option here. So something we can look into. Who else came in here that's new? Oh, well, that's his name, isn't it? I didn't realize is that Razor? That's interesting. That is super fun that they brought that in. They brought him in for us here without his tag team partner, which is interesting. But I think that could be super interesting to kind of build something new. I think this is a great addition to Tully Blanchard Enterprises, who's kind of trying to build powerhouses, trying to build big, brawling dudes. That's a cool, interesting signing. Camille, known very well, and I think probably underrated in the save in terms of skill set here. But another good, interesting, very tall woman, muscular, fit, very interesting look, and could be very interesting. Ignore Kenta, who I brought over for a one-off episode to add in to the show. That should be a pretty fun, bit. Leon Ruff, who we know works with AR Fox, who I always like in my saves. Why do I feel like he was in NXT for a while when I wasn't watching? I feel like probably was. Again, a good get, good talent, great signing by AEW for us, I think. And anybody else in there? I think those might have been it. No, Rhett Titus has been there. I think that's all of them, but not bad. Thank you, AEW. I think those are all going to be pretty interesting signings. So that boosts us up to 53 people. Now, they're all going to be developmental contracts, which means that they could be pulled up at any time. A lot of the base people that we have in here are our signings, so they can't be brought up. They can be loaned out, I think, for belts, but that's it. So they can't take, they can't take Josh Woods, for example, because they are actually our signing. They're not on a developmental contract. But these new guys they added can come up at any time. So we're going to try to help develop them, and we got to come up with some good, interesting gimmicks for them. But that is a very interesting group of signings to boost up our roster. So that's going to be pretty fun. All right, we got a show. Let's go ahead and sim to it. Let's hopefully, with cheap tickets, we get a pretty good outing of viewers. That's my hope. All right, we do have a backstage incident. Let's go ahead and take a look at what we got. Matt Sydal by himself probably doing something nice for the crew. And he did. He started a video game tournament and then won it, the asshole. Very good. Locker room controls. We have no open forum issues. I don't think we have any morale issues, though we could look in the backstage real quick. We have Brian Cage and Flip and Lethal have some negatives. Poor finances is a concern, but we're still at 100%. So we're pretty okay. We're not really having any major issues, and I don't think anybody has any I swear there's a way to look at it easily on here. I could do it in contracts, I think. I thought there was one that was like anyone is like upset option on here, but I don't see it. It's probably right there and screaming at everyone's face, and everyone's yelling at me right now, but I know to look it up right here. Yeah, it looks like everyone's normal or happy, so no issues so far at all, so that is fine. let's see how many people. Well, first, let's go ahead. Let's locker room control. Let's try to build a relationship with somebody. I want somebody that can help develop them. I think Willow has that lively personality that might do well. Strong friendship. Bandito. That's interesting. High chance of failing to achieve anything. So far, the only one for sure has a reasonable chance creating a friendship. Let's try that with our new. Well, you know what? Yeah, let's do our new buddy. Let's see if we can build a relationship. Nothing this time. We're gonna continue to try to build those. What we really want is proteges. So I should really look for older wrestlers with younger wrestlers, but having friendships is always helpful too. 242 fans, so it's less than free, but I think that's okay. And we're going to look at what our finances look like, because I do want to see how that looks. We're going to pick best option, and it's going to be the Applevale Civic Center. Okay, that is fine. Mid-Atlantic is probably our biggest. If we were to go elsewhere, we're going to see a significant reduction of fans. Tri-State's not bad, actually, for us. What is the Tri-State's rating? 37. 37 might be our highest. Mid-Atlantic and Tri-State. We're trying to reach 59, so this could take a while. Let's go ahead and go to Tri-State region. I think that's fine. We'll pick the best option. Would love to fill out the 2300 arena, and that might be our home for pay-per-views. Because with 2300 people in the 2300 arena, we would have a pretty good show, but we're not going to have that for our TV show or TV tapings. Just really not needed for that size. Okay, so show history. We had a pretty good show. Main focus last episode was Jay Lethal attacking with the Foundation minus Jonathan Gresham and attacking Samoa Joe. Building up what's kind of going on in real life. We're gonna diverge, but we're gonna keep a basic formula there of the feud between Jay Lethal and Samoa Joe makes a lot of sense. It's a good springing off point for our own story. So we're gonna do that. It's not gonna be a long one. I think it's probably gonna build up and blow off at the next pay-per-view, and we're going to move Jay Lethal on to a new feud, which is really the focus that we're building him off of. So we're using the real world to springboard into something else. Castle getting that sneaky win, building up a feud with Hendry and Castle. Briscoes and FTR obviously are going to be, at least in the short term, for this pay-per-view. That should be a fun one. That's really just to really drive those numbers for the most part. We have to figure out what we're going to do with the Young Bucks too. And I think we're probably going to interject them in some capacity into that feud. I think that makes the most sense. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of the main focuses of this last pay-per-view. And I think, or this last event. So we kind of know where we need to go with that. And hopefully we can do another 57. That's at least the plan. Let's go ahead and let's book it and let's see what we can get. All right, guys, we got 95 minutes, 2 pre-show matches, and I wish we did some more story stuff, but we did advance some stories, so let's go ahead and let's take a look at what our second episode of Ring of Honor Wrestling looks like. So we start off with a pre-show match, Gates of Agony, who we haven't had wrestle yet, I don't think. If we did, it was just in the pre-show. We might have even done this one. I have to take a look at what our pre-show was. But trying to build them up, trying to give them some stuff to do. Right now, we couldn't put them on a pre-show, so we might as well put them on couldn't put them on the main show, so we might as well put them on the pre-show. So, Gates of Agony, Seidel Brothers, we give Toa Leona a big win, made them look strong, because we're going to try to build them up. They're actually the weakest performer of the bunch, so that's a good reason why we're going to try to build up their dominance. That's not going to be as effective in this type of promotion, though, than it does in our previous saves, because it's not a popularity-focused promotion. So it's going to be a lot about in-ring work. So just getting them in with matches that are, with better teams or better wrestlers is going to be the focus. So hopefully Matt Sydal was able to kind of help elevate his in-ring performance a bit. Overall, it's a 9-minute match. We let the Gates Agony win. 46, not much to say about it, but did pretty okay. And then Tully Blanchard doing really good work ringside for his team. Similarly, another Tully Blanchard Enterprises wrestler, Brian Cage, versus our new hire, Brandon Watts. We took him off on the pre-show just so we didn't commit to any storyline related things with him. Just wanted to see what he was capable of. Wanted to give Brian Cage an easy win. Overall, seems like Watts is okay. Did 40, which is pretty good for undercard. Brian Cage had a dominant win. Got a submission, 5 minutes, 41. Not much to say about it other than that's what we got. So we start off the show with William Regal coming out with an announcement. And he says, even in the Ring of Honor, the forbidden door remains open. He says the executives of New Japan Pro Wrestling have agreed to have a match for the now vacant IWGP US Heavyweight Championship in the main event of Ring of Honor. And they got to pick their challenger, and he got to pick his, and he chose none other than the Ring of Honor World Champion at the time, Jonathan Gresham, and New Japan handpicked their challenger, and it was someone that he was very happy with because he felt it was someone that was very familiar already with the Code of Honor. And with an outstretched hand, he offers that person an opportunity to come and walk out on stage. The music plays, the Titantron shows the name, and out comes Kenta, who has had matches in Ring of Honor in the past, I think even against Bryan Danielson, I want to say. So, in fact, that may be in the opening the opening intro of this this series. So Kenta returns the Ring of Honor. This is our one-off. We are going to have a match for the IWGP US Heavyweight Championship versus for that belt. So it's going to be Kenta versus Jonathan Gresham, and that's going to be our main event. This gets very good. Got the crowd hotter. Regal did good mic work. 58 looks great. Great way to start the show. Whoa, what a poor match here. This was a work the crowd match, and unfortunately that definitely hurt. I still forgot to boost up Todd Sinclair's referee work. He shouldn't be getting a hurt the match. He might not be the best referee, but he's not somebody that's going to be hurting it. So we have 2 tournament matches tonight. The first is Wheeler Yuta versus Eli Isom. And it's a decent match, did not have much heat. Unfortunately, the segment rating is very poor. It wasn't Wheeler's fault. It was kind of a whole bunch of different things' fault here. But Wheeler does defeat Eli in 9 minutes by pinfall. He moves up in the Top Prospects tournament. And he gets a pretty great rating for his aggressive blue chipper gimmick, which is what we gave him. Unfortunately, the match itself didn't hold up to his ability. But looking at all together, it could have been a lot worse. It's low on the card. It's not a big deal. Definitely would have been something I was shooting for like a 42 or something like that on. Afterwards, we have just a minor segment of Wheeler moving on in the tournament, just being announced. Probably could have took these out, but it's just easier. I think these are set are minor segments, so they actually don't even give us a rating boost for us. But oh well. Pretty good segment. We have a promo where Jay Lethal comes out to the ring. The crowd is, a chorus of boos right now. He's got a microphone in hand. He's ready to explain his actions. And he says, some of you have asked that I explain my actions from last week. Explain why I turned on a friend. And he kind of says that with air quotes, Explain why I've been acting dishonorably. Well, that is all a lie. My actions were not dishonorable. And Samoa Joe is a no friend. Yes, he's my mentor. Yes, he helped train me. Yes, we practically grew up together in this business. And for 18 years, I've lived under his shadow. I admit that. And this is the man who helped train me and mold me to become what I have now become. But we've always were supposed to have a legacy tied together. We were supposed to rise to greatness together. Then he got the call to Orlando, and he went running. He left Jay Lethal behind to hold the bags. Where was the honor in that? To leave your friends, make a new life, forget about them. Well, I stayed. I scraped, I scrounged, and I borrowed to pay my bills week to week as I worked here for practically nothing. And I helped carry Ring of Honor on my back. The thing he abandoned, that everybody abandoned, I stayed. I rebuilt. I made it better. The foundation made it better. We restored honor. We rebuilt the legacy of the company. And now it's back to greatness. Better than it ever was before. And look at what comes walking in. Samoa Joe. After all the work's been done, just a two-faced grifter coming in with platitudes of legacy and honor and returning home and how happy he is. And all he really is doing is taking what is mine, what I've worked to rebuild. I won't tolerate it. The foundation won't tolerate it. So, hot segment, hot words from Jay Lethal, feeling a lot of umbrage from Samoa Joe's just existence here. Gets a 53. Afterwards, Samoa Joe comes out to basically challenge those statements for Jay Lethal, but he doesn't get far as Rhett Titus and Tracy Williams attack him from behind as he's walking his way down to the ramp, leading Jay Lethal to come out there, giving him a lethal injection and laying out Samoa Joe once again. So we now know Lethal's motivations here. Very personal, obviously. Rhett and Tracy seem very aligned in this fact. The foundation behind Jay Lethal. Again, Gresham not present. Leads to 47. And we got Dalton Castle and Joe Hendry after coming out of their tournament win, or Castle's tournament win over Hendry. As we have said before, we were kind of ignoring what happened in the last two shows prior to us starting to save, because we've kind of screwed that up. So this is kind of the beginning of the breakdown here for real. Hendry's jealous that Dalton won. They're tagging together still. Bear Country versus Dalton Castle and Joe Hendry ends pretty quickly in 9 minutes. Castle pins Bear Boulder, gives him a bangerang, and is carrying the match in terms of in-ring work. 53 seems about right. Gets us a 47. We gain heat for the no local hero storyline. Got the crowd hot. They were super into it. So after the match, Dalton Castle celebrates. He beat Joe Hendry in the tournament. Now, again, we're not really playing into what happened in the other two shows because we already screwed that all up. So we're kind of getting to where that is now. The two were a tag team. We had them still being a tag team. And what we end up happening here is Castle celebrating and Hendry snapping, attacking him from behind, fully cementing this feud that we're kind of building up between the two of them, and having Hendry be the attacker that's going to have to explain his actions in this dishonorable attack of his own tag team partner. So we're kind of building that up. This does okay. It's kind of a shame. I might have to look at their ratings because I think I have to see what I rated this on. I might have been fighting and selling, which might be okay. But if either of these two guys is charisma or acting is too low, And sometimes in these databases they are, where the person that is setting them up last really is undervaluing them, either for balance reasons or just for personal preference. We'll bump them up into in between saves. I don't have a problem with that. I have a pretty good idea where I think Dalton Castle's abilities should be, and I'm fairly sure where Joe Hendry should be. So I think we can set that up pretty easily. And of course, we are going to move Castle to a face, and it goes a complete success. And Hendry obviously still remains a heel. And in our next tournament match, we got Daniel Garcia, who we've brought down for developmental, versus Josh Woods. It's a decent match. Daniel Garcia defeats Josh Woods in 14 minutes with a sharpshooter. We were hoping not for a rowdy crowd at this point, which is funny because I think the Dalton Castle match was a storytelling match, so it should have been a calmer match, but it got them hotter. So unfortunately, this match suffered. It should have been like a 50. This was a technical match. It unfortunately did not feed in to the rowdy crowd, which is super unfortunate. But Daniel Garcia gets a great win, moves on into the second round of our Top Prospects tournament. Very excited to see that. And we're going to have to look at I got to figure out the math, but I want the finals, the basic, or either the finals to be at the pay-per-view, or maybe even ideally the results of that match being at the pay-per-view, right? So like the tournament should maybe end the week before the pay-per-view, and then the challenger will challenge for whatever belt they want. I'll have to see how the math works out. I don't know if it will. I don't know. I'm trying to think here how many weeks we have left for the pay-per-view, so that really depends. Might be able to. We'll see. Anyways, Garcia got a great win. Unfortunately, the match wasn't paced the way we wanted it to be. Again, just a quick segment just for bookkeeping, saying that Daniel Garcia moved on in the tournament. We have, this is not going to be a great show. A pretty horrendous match. Unfortunately, too short for the importance. Yeah, I probably screwed that up because I think Mercedes was considered important. It was poorly paced. The crowd hadn't peaked, so the cool wasn't productive. We tried to cool them down a little bit, thinking that the technical, I don't know, we screwed that whole thing up. But that's fine. We live and learn. This match is really bad, though. But we have Mercedes and Willow in a tag versus AQA and Maddie. Mercedes pins Maddie for the win. She's head and shoulders above everybody else. Willow's just behind her by about 10 points, and AQA and Maddie are pretty abysmal in this match. Get a 33 for this. Oh, boy. Afterwards, what I thought would have made it maybe save that did not. Very unfortunate. On her way back, Mercedes is walking away. Obviously, is the challenger, and we see the women's champion show up and attack her on the ramp and leave her on the ground, basically calling it out that this is her house kind of situation. Unfortunately, this doesn't do very well at all. 37 is pretty abysmal. We're pretty much hinging on a great main event, I'm hoping. We'll see. And it is a good main event. It's a good one. It dragged out a little too long, but we knew that was going to happen. This was a steal the show match, but Gresham had a 69, Kenta had a 64, and even though Gresham technically didn't qualify, I have to change that because I don't think the heavyweight distribution or the heavyweight division is present for the IWGP US champion. So I think that's set wrong in the save. I did get that warning. I don't think it mattered because, but I don't know if I don't see a win here. So I wonder if it invalidated it. But it didn't matter either anyways, because in the match, superb wrestling, decent reaction. Kenta does defeat Jonathan Gresham in 20 minutes with a pinfall and a flash roll-up. Well, it's a flash pinfall. It isn't really a surprise roll-up, but it's a not necessarily a super clean, definitive finish, but it's pretty close. Got the crowd buzzing, got a 57. Afterwards, we get kind of the aftermath match report here. Gresham gets Kenta in the octopus hold. He's got him kind of locked in, but not fully locked in, though. He can't quite get his arms around Kenta in the right position. Kenta's fighting back. In the middle of scrambling for it, Kenta realizes that he's almost in a position to counter it, and then with a careful position of his arm, he basically gets Gresham onto his shoulders and gives him a very quick go to sleep. Right to the face. Gresham is staggered from this, and that allows Kenta to get quickly in for a pinfall. So like I said, not like a roll up, but it is sort of got Gresham countered from a dominant position into a unfortunate one, and was able to capitalize on it. So Gresham's looked competitive in the match. It's just kind of got the better of the end of it. Afterwards, Gresham is upset with himself. You see him in the corner. He knew he was moments away from a win. He rises to face Kenta. He looks hot. He looks bothered. Kenta sees that, and he stares him down and is kind of bracing himself for an attack. But Gresham kind of chills his nerves and offers out a hand, offering out the code of honor correctly. And the two shake. Gresham gives him an approving nod. Kenta gives him a slight bow of respect to his head before raising up the IWGP US Championship title. So we kind of cement Gresham as a person that is now really embodying the code of honor, even when he got hot, respecting it there. And we are going to make sure Gresham is set as a heel in this, which I think is a little weird. I kind of get it from the positioning, but we're cementing him fully as a babyface, and I think this match does that. So pretty good. I like the booking of this episode, but some of the unfortunate timings that we had screwed up a lot, and unfortunately a couple matches were real stinkers. So I don't expect it to be as good as the previous one. I just hope it's good enough to not get penalized. Actually, 51's not bad. Gives us pretty. What was the other one? Was only 52. So actually, it did really well. I think the main event saved it for us, but when I look at it, actually, it's really not that bad. It's 53s, 47s, 47s. It's really just a couple stinkers that were just unfortunately slightly lower than what we expected. Very happy with a 51. That's totally okay. All right, let's see what we got here for the news and the pay raise request. Sure, it's not our money. Give you the full thing, Bandito. Kenta's done for the loan period. I think we need to fix, I don't think it's set up right, very quickly. An Impact. Alliance titles and Ultra Champion. Yeah, so it did not get set right. That is what it should be. And I'm just going to look at this title, and I don't think there should be a weight class. You guys feel free to pipe in on that, but I'm pretty sure there is no act. I know it says heavyweight, and I know the New Japan belts do heavyweight and lightweight splits, but I don't think that belt in particular did. But I'm not sure. Like, I don't think Juice Robinson is, or Jay White are heavy. I don't know. Let me know. I mean, it doesn't matter because Kenta is in that qualification. But that gives us now a champion. I think that is a good US IWGP. So I wanted to give him that win. That gives us now also Adam Cole and Kenta that we can pull in at any time, unless this changes hands. But I think Kenta was going to be a good person to hand it to, that if we wanted to bring in as a New Japan ambassador from time to time, would be an easy, good pull in. So that was what we did there. Finances, ticket sales were $2,600. It's not too bad. Our show costs still suck. We're 26 in the hole. So that's a bummer. What's also a bummer about that is I believe we need money in the bank, quite literally, to do these alliance loans, and potentially even during the night, just to pay the administrative fees. I don't think we can run red. So something that we are going to want to try to fix going into the future, and it's a little difficult because we can't end up building up a bankroll like a war chest, right? Because anything that we have left over in both debt and profit gets fed into AEW at the end of the month. So we're going to want to try to find a way to get a little bit of money, a little bit of profitability. Otherwise, I just have to cheat a little bit from time to time. But that definitely is something that we want to build and build up. So your homework, dear viewers, we got some new people here, mostly Conan Claxton and Bobby Flanco, who I don't really know very well. I have pretty decent understanding of Leon Ruff and Camille, and obviously Kazim Razor. Is it Razor? Is he Razor or Akam? I can never remember. I think he's Razor. Yeah, he's Razor. So we who are these guys? What should we do with them? How can we utilize them? What's their gimmick? I'm going to do some research on my own, but let me know if you guys have any interesting gimmick ideas. Can they be a tag team together? What's their personalities? Let me know in the comments what you want us to do with these new developmental talent that we got sent our way from AEW. Anyways, guys, great episode. Ran a little bit long, but that is fine. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time.